Let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. I am merely Beau. He is the great Z. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. The sun is out. We are on to Wednesday, which means in my mind we have turned the page now off of a great, great victory over the Cincinnati Bengals.
What day are we at?
Is it not Wednesday?
No, I don't believe it is.
It's First Friday.
I don't know.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
No.
First Friday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah. Sorry.
By the way, we could have some copyright issues here on the program.
What?
Because if you've watched Curb Your Enthusiasm from this past week, which I know that you have.
That's right.
Did you notice the title of the newspaper that the hot dog eating contest was in?
I did not.
First Fridays.
Really?
That's right. And in fact,
I think we should reach out to them with our counsel.
And in fact,
Ted.
At the end, at the hot dog eating contest, First Friday, it's the First Friday's hot dog eating contest.
It is. And yet it takes place on a Saturday, which is weird.
Very.
Or did it take place on a Friday? It was a Thursday night dinner party that Larry tried to get out of.
Yeah. LD tried to get out of it and then
ends up eating
hot dogs.
Which,
if you know anything about his dietary habits in real life, would be how did he even do that? That's the best acting he's done in 20 years.
But we needed a scene of how he finagled his way actually into a contest that he was not in day before.
Him talking himself into a hot dog eating contest in Santa Monica at the pier.
What a great pier it is.
No, I actually am Larry David.
Yeah, and I'd like to be in this.
I created Seinfeld. I think in this world, Curb Your Enthusiasm doesn't exist. So he's basically just been living on Seinfeld and what you can certainly do.
Of course he can. Live quite comfortably.
And you have the reunion episodes that he did for, was that NBC? Did the reunion episodes for in Curb? So we live in the Curb world. He's not known in this sense. He's known in Hollywood circles, but he's not known in the sense that he's known now, the famous Larry David. So he would have to then have the awkward conversation with somebody from First Fridays who's putting this thing on.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I am. Me and my financial guy, Harry,
my buddy,
who's my taxes. He's his S.
He's his S.
That guy. We're going to get in, clearly. But we don't know if Harry's a known litterer.
We don't know.
One up, one down. Hard to say.
It's hard to say. Net, even.
Even. So, yes, we were deprived of that. I thought it was an enjoyable episode. I did.
It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have questions that I want to ask you about Succession too, but I won't. We won't. We'll do that off air.
Okay.
All right. News of the day. Nick Harris becomes the 5th player added to the COVID-19 reserve list this morning.
Yeah.
Can you? I've seen all of the reporting. I know in terms of from my vantage point, a me speck on the giant scheme of things here, but everything was the same. It was the same when I came in here today. Was it the same for you, I assume, as it's been in all of this? I see enhanced protocols, but that's football team only. And what does that mean for them?
So what it means for them is all that the meetings are virtual. Anybody who is tiered wears masks indoors, outdoors, doesn't matter when they are here at the facility, that they are only together for practice. And I think there are probably some distancing rules that are put in place for the practice today. So it's kind of like it was at the end of last year, when we would have practices, everything else would be virtual, and then you would play the games. It's the enhanced protocols are very similar to what you did last season, daily testing, all of those things. So it's a change. Obviously, the good news is you've been prepared for it. And the good news is in the room that is the most affected right now, which is your running back room, you have a guy in Dearness Johnson who's already been thrust into a role where, okay, you need to be the starting guy, and he did that and rushed for 146 yards and a touchdown against the Denver Broncos, a very good Denver Broncos team. And so it's not like the question was asked, is this similar to what happened with the Jets? No, that was later in the week. This is the beginning of the week. You can prepare for it, and you've got a guy that you've already prepared as a starter who's excelled for you in that role in the past, which is very fortunate. Now, you have to hope that obviously he is able to steer clear of he's got to be tested, et cetera, to make sure that he doesn't end up on that list. But it's not in anybody's hands at this point. I mean, if it happened,
no,
it happened, right? So,
well, you worry where the tentacles of it go, right?
Because
you see Nick Harris pop up, and you go, okay, well, he was in a room with these guys, and you think about Dearness being like, the lone survivor in that room that comes out of it alive. You think about Demetric Felton in the receiver room, and so far so good on those fronts.
Yeah, and that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that we get to tomorrow and there are no new positives, and I think then you'll start to feel a lot better about where you are as a team. But in terms of your principles, obviously Nick Chubb is a massive principle for this team and what we do on offense. But if you needed to have a game where you needed Dearest Johnson, he showed you, I can do this. You can trust me. I got this. And so that's what is likely going to be the case against the New England Patriots. Now, there's still time. There's still time for them to have the consecutive back-to-back negative tests prior to Sunday.
So is Nick by Sunday or is it by Saturday at 4 for Nick Chubb?
So I don't have the full clarity on this, but you and I both correctly recall that a player was going to fly separate from the team on Sunday if they could do that. So I think you've got to have one on Saturday, obviously. You've got to at least get one in on Saturday.
But does the second one have to be by 4 o'clock Saturday,
I don't think
or can it be by Sunday morning? So there's some ambiguity with this.
Yeah, I don't know
that I don't have the answer to either. Obviously, Dearest is more than capable, but obviously you're a different team without Nick Chubb. I saw this morning from ESPN Stats and Info. Over the last 2 regular seasons, we are 13-6 with Nick Chubb. We are 3-3 without him. We averaged 27 points a game with him in those 19 games. We averaged 19 points a game without him in those 6 games. Pretty remarkable for a non-quarterback to have a 10-point swing in production. And the sample size isn't huge, but it's decent.
Yes.
It's decent, and it's a 10-point swing when he's not there. So he would be a significant loss. Just me editorializing for a second here. If Nick Chubb is fully vaccinated, if he is asymptomatic, geez, that's tough. I have a hard time with that. I just think that's really tricky.
And Kevin Stefanski was asked that and did not share that, obviously.
He did not share his symptoms, nor do I expect him to. That's why I said it's me editorializing here.
Yeah.
But if he is, geez. I mean, he's done the things. And if he's asymptomatic, I think that's tough. But we'll see. We'll see where this thing goes. So there is where you sit from a COVID standpoint here on November 10th. A First Friday edition. Good news today coming in the form of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He is designated for return from IR. He was done so before today's practice. That practice is just now getting going a little after 1 o'clock here in Berea at the Cross Country Mortgage campus where that is getting going. So he is designated for return. You'll hear Coach's thoughts on that a little bit later. You had hinted about this earlier in the week that you felt like you were getting close for JOK. Not close yet on Kareem Hunt in terms of
correct.
It'll still be a little bit of time on Kareem, but the JOK is designated. Doesn't necessarily mean he will play, and we've been pretty coy with that, all season when it comes to if a guy, where the health is, will they play, will they not? It's almost like we'll find it on Sunday exactly where he is. You're always the king of the injury report and the practices. Are we trending in the right direction? Do you practice on that Friday? Those are kind of the benchmarks you'll be looking for. I would think that we would be extra cautious with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
I think we will also, but I think that he's been trending in a direction where this was the week they expected him back. So I think they will be cautious with him, but I think at the same time, as long as he goes out and looks the way that I think they expect him to, I believe that we will have him this week. I do.
I just was letting it sit for a second.
I like it.
I was letting it sit for
I
a
feel
beat.
pretty good about him, and then a name that we haven't mentioned in a while that could end up being an important name given we don't know about Greedy just yet, would be MJ Stewart, who was also eligible to be brought back, and I would expect MJ Stewart to be ready to go this week as well.
So there you are on that front. In terms of who's not practicing today, as we turn our attention to the New England Patriots, who come into this game at 5-4, just as we do. Miles down, Malik Jackson down, Jarvis Landry down, Takk McKinley down. All of those guys will be out of practice today. There's nothing. Is there anything new on these guys, or is this just kind of standard grab a rest, long season situation?
I think it's long season. I mean, right now that's 4/5 of your top defensive line all out there. So I think that you hope that you're going to be good. Jarvis Landry as well. I feel pretty confident that as the week progresses, these guys are all going to be good. I know Malik was getting better as the weeks have gone on, and I think with Takk, you take it. It's the groin they said was the same one, and so you're hoping that he has a chance to be ready to go against this team because Mac Jones, like all quarterbacks, but especially as a rookie, is very good from a clean pocket. He is not great under pressure, but unlike veteran quarterbacks who you cannot blitz, he is susceptible to the blitz. And so you want to have your guys out there so that you can throw a lot of disguises and drop somebody. And we see Tack's been very good when he's been asked to drop. He covered a receiver man-to-man like he was a corner. So you want to have that health up there. But I think as the week goes on, we're going to see returning to practice for these guys, and I feel pretty good that they'll be ready to roll.
Lots of rumor out there today as well about a contract extension for Joel Bitonio, the 30-year All-Pro guard currently under contract through next season. The Teller deal we got done yesterday, and now a lot of rumors about the Bitonio deal, which something could be imminent on that front. So that would be very, very good news, and you just continue to lock up that offensive line, which is the best in the NFL for a very, very long term. Lots. Are you kidding me with this rundown out of the huge P? My goodness. We got higher or lower in the first hour. What a pure joy that is. That's unbelievable.
Unprecedented.
We've got the great Bernie Kosar. We're going to meet the Patriots. Charles Davis
That's right.
joining the program as well. I don't know what more you want out of life, kids. Coming up next, I mentioned some of those comments from Coach. You will hear those and others coming up next. Before we do that, though.
All right, so this is from the November 9th update to the COVID policy this year is what it says. As set forth in Addendum D of the screening and testing protocol for individuals who are within the first 6 days immediately following a confirmed positive test, starting from the day that the sample test positive is taken, the individual will be permitted to enter the team facility and resume all activities provided that 1. The individual is asymptomatic for 48 hours. 2. The individual receives 2 consecutive negative BRL PCR tests taken at least 24 hours apart. And 3, return has been approved by the team physician, the NFL chief medical officer, and ICS. So that's what you need to do if you are in the first 6 days, which is where you would need Nick Chubb to be if he is to play.
And we don't know. We assume that.
Because he went on yesterday.
Right.
So you would.
Well, is it 6 days from the first test or the contact?
From the first positive test.
So he would still be in the mix to be able to play
under these rules.
Yeah.
If it gets
what we don't know is that final test, can it be, because that's a big deal. Could it be a test? Could he test at 6 a.m. Sunday, and that be the second one?
This doesn't have anything at all about the timing of it.
Okay, so that remark remained, because I was talking to somebody this morning who thought for sure that it was by 4 o'clock Saturday that he had to have the second negative test, but I thought, boy, I know that there was a Packer. I want to say it was a Packers player who I want to say might have even been Devontae Adams. It was somebody of note there was a chance they could have flown day of and played.
So I'm on the full. This nowhere does it say anything. What it says is asymptomatic for 48 hours. Receives 2 consecutive negative BRL PCR tests and taken at least 24 hours apart. So it doesn't specify anything about the time of day. So if you were to test Sunday morning, your first negative would have to be Saturday morning.
Yes. Fun running here. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider, your Cleveland Browns. They have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Coach Kevin Stefanski at the podium earlier today. Let's have a listen to some of the highlights.
Big challenge this week.
You're down.
Going against another,
About 3 minutes.
just like us, an AFC opponent, a really good football team. And we got to go on the road and play our best to try and get a win. They're very, very well coached, as you all know. I think just offensively, defensively, special teams, they're very sound. They're very physical. Their offense is a physical group. I think the quarterback is playing at a high level. Doesn't look like a rookie to me. They can play physical brand of football with a bunch of different running backs. They have guys on the perimeter that can make plays, that can make contested catches, some really good tight ends. So presents a big challenge. And defensively, they're very big, long, play a physical brand of football. They can play 5 on the line of scrimmage. They can get into a 4 down front. They can pressure. They play shell. So it's an impressive scheme that can show you multiple looks. And then special teams, which they've always done a great job with, have great players. They play hard, really good schemes. So a big week of preparation for us to get ready to go on the road. And with that, I'll take any questions.
In terms of increased protocols this week, I mean, you guys are well practiced at all this stuff. What has changed in the last 24 hours because of this minor outbreak you have?
So we're in the enhanced COVID protocol. So that means everyone is getting tested every single day with that MESA test. We're doing meetings virtually only. Our cafeteria is closed down. And then we're wearing masks around the building again. So like you mentioned, Tom, it's things that we've done before. We know virtual meetings are not ideal, but we also understand that you can cover a lot of ground in them. So we just talked this morning with the players about making sure that they're engaged in those meetings and getting everything out of them that we need to.
In that running back room, obviously you're down numbers right now. Could Jarvis get a look at that spot?
We'll see. We'll see how this week goes, Scott, and see who's available to us and put together a plan.
In terms of his decision-making, Kevin, on Sunday, what did you like most about what Baker did?
Yeah, I thought he made quick decisions. I think he saw it clearly, which I think is important for quarterbacks to see it, and especially when teams are trying to disguise whether pressure or coverage. So I think he saw it clearly and got through his progressions quickly.
Yeah, Coach, just wondering about Wyatt Teller, and how do you feel about how he's been playing
30 seconds.
and some of the amazing blocks that we've all seen, and then also just, wrapping him up and knowing that you have him for a long time now.
Yeah, happy for Wyatt and his family. I think it's great, obviously, that Andrew and his group worked to get this done.
10 seconds, you're hot.
You guys yesterday, he's a tone setter, plays very physical, and has done a nice job for us.
Well, there you go, Coach Stefanski at his media availability earlier this morning. The practice going on right now. It's a little reminder this week. Well, not a little, pretty significant reminder this week that of where we are and that we're still amidst playing with COVID and what it can do and just the uncertainty that surrounds it. The one thing that you have is you have an entire year of doing this to know what it's like. So when you come to these enhanced protocols, we lived this and thrived in it a year ago. Certainly far from ideal. It's an advantage that teams that don't have these type of outbreaks don't have. And I do wonder, as we're sitting at the halfway point, will this and flu season and all these things starting to happen, will we see more teams in this tough spot where you're trying to get guys? I mean, my goodness, the Packers played without Aaron Rodgers last week. So this is still very much something you're dealing with, and now it's hit home with us with Nick Chubb.
It certainly has, and it's a thing that you wonder if you're going to see more players, and nobody, and again, this is every individual's own business, but do you seek out the booster at this point in the season? Are you concerned about if that would knock you out for a day or two? I don't know the answer to that question, but
I don't either.
I think that you're seeing, and especially as you get into winter, that's when they say it always gets worse. And that there are the studies now that say that the success of the vaccine wanes over time. that this might be a thing that's a bigger issue clearly in the second half of the 2021 NFL season than it was in the first half of the 2021 NFL season.
Yeah, I think logically you would draw that conclusion, and that might be where you're at. And so, if you think about where you are in the season, you think about the schedule that is in front of you, you think about the opponent on Sunday, and you think about everything we've been through in 10 days here. And now you have this to add to it, and the uncertainty. The one thing that Coach Stefanski has going for him is he can prepare for it. He's got all week, and they'll prepare as if there's no Nick Chubb. I'm sure of that. It'll be all D'Ernest, and they'll get it going. Yesterday, after we got off the air, I did see a running back was picked up. Did I see that right, that there was a running back that was added?
Yeah, Brian Hill was added to the roster yesterday, and Hill's a guy who you probably have heard of. He's been in the league for a little while with the Atlanta Falcons, most notably. And if you were to look at his career stats with the Falcons, basically he's been with the Falcons since 2017. Career 209 carries, 982 yards. That's 4.7 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns, and good out of the backfield, 38 grabs for 313 yards. So Hill's a guy who's got some familiarity with this type of an offense and somebody who has been, fairly productive, at least when given an opportunity in the past. I mean, 4.7 yards for your career is a good number. And last year, his biggest workload was 100 carries, ran for 465, which is 4.65 yards per carry. So that's where you're at with him. He would likely be the next man up. You don't know if, Johnny Stanton, who got some single back work in the preseason, would get an opportunity. Coach was asked directly about Jarvis Landry moonlighting some at running back and did not deny it, did not say no. So that's another possibility there. But I think when you look at this team, you're trying to get guys up to speed, and in terms of Hill, I'm guessing if you don't have anybody else, he'll be your backup elevate and be your backup running back come Sunday.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. And the one thing that you have with Coach Stefanski is you have a wild imagination when it comes to how to move the ball down the field.
Yep.
So will you see Jarvis Landry line up directly behind Baker or right next to him? Potentially.
Sure.
Absolutely. We've done that stuff before. Jarvis ran the option this weekend. So you've absolutely seen those things. Not to great success. Usually when Jarvis did those trick plays, it works perfectly. Almost was a pretty dangerous spot on Sunday. But you will see those type of things because you now can prepare for those type of things. The one thing we got to watch is just make sure that this doesn't spread beyond where it is. And we're taking every precaution here, in the building and at practice and now virtual on the meetings to make sure that it doesn't, and in those enhanced protocols. Because you got to get there with who you have now. You don't want that Jets situation to crop up again where all of a sudden we get to a Friday and we've got 4 or 5 more names on that list, and that's the thing you're trying to prevent right now.
Yeah, you're trying to avoid that from becoming a big issue for this football team, and that's really where we are right now. It's trying to kind of navigate that, get through this week, get to this game, and be ready to go. But, yeah, Brian Hill, that would be the guy that I would expect to be the backup if we need it at running back. And it's nice to be able to bring in a guy that's got about 1,000 yards in his career on the ground.
This is a fantastic tweet out of Tom Withers. Did you see this? Tom tweeted out looks as if the Batonio deal is imminent, and it's a picture outside the facility with the Brinks truck in front of the facility,
which was just here. We saw them walking around.
Yeah, it's always good. That's a good job out of Tom.
That is good.
On that front. All right, we'll do a little higher or lower coming up next. We'll go around the league. The great Bernie Kosar joining us at 2 o'clock as he does every single First Friday Miracle. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Football isn't football without friends. Watching the Browns game alone means no one's going to hear your amazing analysis, and the same is true when gambling. Keep things social. Never gamble alone. It's just one of the helpful, reasonable gambling tips you'll find at keepitfunohio.com. And we have some breaking news. Dr. Z.
Yeah, this is a report from Ian Rappaport, 127 today, says the Browns. Sources, the Browns have agreed to terms with guard Joel Bitonio on a contract extension, locking up their second big-time guard in 2 days. First, Wyatt Teller, now Bitonio, and I hope that we will be able to get you official confirmation of that during our program today, and when we do, we will gladly share it with you. But obviously, huge news. That report I would expect to be true, that the Browns have now locked up not only Wyatt Teller, but Joel Bitonio as well to a contract extension.
This from Victory Monday Chris as well, tweeting the Steve Wyche report. It was Devontae Adams. I knew the Packers were involved. Yep. It was Devontae Adams. It was for Thursday's game against Arizona, where Wyche is doing the report on theoretically he could fly, and he was on that COVID list as well, that theoretically you could do a test Sunday morning and then fly day of game. But again, you couldn't find anything with that when looking at the official rules of
no, there was nothing about a time or anything. It's 24 hours apart, and that's the goal. That's what you need to get. Asymptomatic for 48 hours, then you can test, and after those, so 48 is the minimum, then you can test, so another 24. So 72 hours is the fastest anybody could possibly come back from a positive test.
Yeah.
So the time is still there. Jake Trotter echoing now, saying breaking. The Browns say they have agreed to terms on an extension with Joel Bitonio. 1 day after locking up right guard Wyatt Teller, the Browns pull off the same with their 3-time Pro Bowl left guard. So as soon as we get the official, we'll give you some, I'm sure there'll be some merriment, some quotes that we can share with you. But great job, Andrew Barry. Right now, Pro Football Focus, the Browns have three highest graded guards in the league. Wyatt Teller, number 2, Bitonio, number 3, and the Browns now have an opportunity to go ahead and have them here for a very, very long time. By the way, one other note, Dexter Williams, a running back, has also been added to the Browns practice squad along with Brian Hill.
A Dexter Williams.
A Dexter Williams.
Have to get the MIT kids on that.
I was going to say,
Stevie!
We need Stevie to dive deep into the Dexter Williams file.
So this is great. So you think about Bitonio, Teller, Miles, Chubb, all locked up and all extended.
Dexter Williams was
good job out of Stevie. That was quick.
6th-round pick of the Green Bay Packers in 2019, where he played his college football at Notre Dame, amassing over 1,600 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns in his collegiate career. Was with the Giants this offseason, and now he was released on September 22nd. On November 5th, signed back to the Giants practice squad, released 4 days later, and now he is on the Browns practice squad. So another running back in the mix.
Very good. Time for a little better or worse, higher or lower, presented by our friends at Ohio Lottery.
Or worse.
Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys.
Hey, buddy.
Gibby.
Waiting for something from our team. That's all.
You safe,
Trotter
pal.
reporting, by the way, it is a 3-year extension per league sources. Puts Joel Bitonio in Cleveland through 2025, which is also the same year that the Wyatt Teller extension would have placed him with the Cleveland Browns through 2025.
And you're curious to see what, from a cap standpoint, what this all looks like, going into next season.
Yep.
But my guess is Andrew Barry's thought of all those things.
I'm sure there's been great planning.
Great consternation.
That's right.
Play a little higher or lower?
Nah,
better.
Play better or worse, though.
Or worse.
No, that's not what the lottery sponsored. It's higher or lower.
Oh,
don't you worry.
That was a little bit of a flex there, Gibby.
We'll
Bravo. Bravo.
We'll get to your garbage Niners coming up here in just a little bit.
Oh,
don't
gosh.
you worry about that.
Why are you mad at the team of my youth?
Well,
Beau's youth.
I would be. I bet your father is. I think he and I are on the same page.
Pedro's not happy at all.
Yep, exactly. Let's get down.
Tell you what, though,
to
Pedro
it.
is significantly more anti-Lynch than anti-Shanahan.
No.
Well, I'll bring him around.
Kyle's a golden boy. Can't be blamed for anything.
No, he has a distaste right now for him as well. But once I dispelled him of the notion that Kyle single-handedly forces injured players to play football, which doesn't happen, then
it became Lynch was the problem.
The second round pick's inactive, third round pick's inactive.
Yeah. He's lucky he doesn't root for the Raiders.
They're not even right.
Their first round picks aren't even there anymore.
Not even there anymore.
Truth.
Look at Big Drew.
The stride is just.
He looks very locked in on something.
I think so, too.
Dialed in.
Yep.
All right, boys. This week, compliments of Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. Gentleman that says it is time to panic in San Francisco, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Danny, hit it.
Higher or lower?
All right.
Better.
The Cardinals are number 1, 8-1. The Buccaneers 6-2. They didn't do anything. They were on the bye week, and they move up from number 7 to number 2 based on everything that happened. Takes us to number 3. The Tennessee Titans are 7-2. They move from number 8 to number 3 in Mike Florio's power poll. Are they higher, lower, or just right? Bishop, I'll start with you.
Thanks, buddy. I think it's depending on which game you're playing. Because if you're playing the game higher or lower, where should they be ranked? Then they should be ranked higher because they have some of the most impressive wins the last few weeks in the season. If you're playing the game, are they better? No, they're not better than the Bucs. And they would be underdogs if they played the Bucs. They're not better than the Cardinals. They just did beat the Rams. I don't think they're better than the Packers.
They'd still be
right
underdogs
now.
if the Super Bowl was today.
I'm going through it.
They would be underdogs to the Rams, I'm saying. Even though they beat them, they would be underdogs.
Yeah, probably. But that, I don't know. That was an alarming loss, the way the Rams looked to me. I understand that. But I was going to go through the list, and I think they'd be underdogs against the Packers, against the Cowboys. And then it starts to get dicey. Probably Ravens, too. Can they – but yet, in the spirit of this game, they should be ranked higher because they've been really, really impressive for about a month. I can't understand how they lost to the Jets, but everybody, it seems, in the NFL has a loss to that. The Buccaneers lost to Trevor Siemian. You make sense of that for me. I can't. The only team in the league that doesn't have a loss like that is Arizona. Everybody else has one. That doesn't make any sense.
Can I interest you in this? Here's the upcoming schedule for the Tennessee Titans. Home for the Saints, home for the Texans, at the Patriots. That one could be tough. Home for the Jags, at the Steelers, home for the Niners, home for the Dolphins, at the Texans.
They are winning the AFC South.
Oh, yeah.
They have a very, very good shot
at being 13-4.
Very good shot at being the 1 seed in the AFC.
I mean, even if they trip on themselves in a game or two, their total downside, I think, is 11-6. And that is a massive tripping on themselves.
And the way that they flipped their defense from a year ago, where they were at best disinterested, to now one of the more dominant units, certainly up front in all the league. It's an incredible turnaround. And because of the schedule, as you just articulated, I think they're going to be fine without Derrick Henry through this run. And then maybe they get him back.
Yes, by the way, it is official now, Beau Bishop.
Oh, well, we love official.
The Cleveland Browns have signed Joel Bitonio to a 3-year extension. That runs through the 2025 season, as it has been written and said. Here's what Bitonio had to say. I've been here for 8 years now. I've seen a lot of ups and downs. To be a part of that and for the team to have faith in me and allow me to be here for my entire career, it really means a lot. It's special. You see guys switch teams a lot, go from team to team. Great players in this league. I saw Joe Thomas end his career here. And something when you get into year 8 and year 9, it gets in the back of your mind where it'd be really special to be in Cleveland your whole career and to try to win a championship with these guys. I just want to thank the Haslams, Andrew Berry, Coach Stefanski for having faith in me and providing me with this opportunity. Bitonio, 30 years of age, 3-time Pro Bowler each of the last 3 seasons, 3-time second-team All-Pro each of the last 3 seasons as well. 104 regular season starts, hasn't missed a snap since the start of the 2017 season in the regular season, obviously with COVID last year. Here's what Andrew Berry had to say, Beau, and I think you'll like this. After last season, we decided that one of our major football priorities would be to make Joel Bitonio a Brown for the rest of his career. Joel is one of our most decorated players, and this is the ideal personification of our smart, tough, and accountable mantra. We value Joel's high-level performance, leadership, consistency, and durability. We are excited about this extension and hopeful that at the end of his career, we'll all be looking forward to celebrating Joel's gold jacket fitting in Canton. AB's throwing a few zingers in here. No alligators, gold jackets in Canton. And then here's what head coach Kevin Stefanski had to say. Joel Bitonio is everything you'd ever want in a football player. We always know exactly what we're going to get from Joel every rep, every practice, every game. His consistent effort, exceptional play, and team-first mentality make him a great teammate and truly a perfect example for every player that will ever wear brown and orange for the Cleveland Browns. Handing Joel a game ball in the locker room last year when we clinched a playoff spot will be a career highlight for me. Joel deserved that moment because of all the hard work and effort he puts into this organization. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to coach Joel. Congrats to him and his family. This contract is so well deserved.
Bitonio becoming the first player to be drafted by the Browns in the expansion era to receive a 3rd contract from the team. So there's that as well.
That's right, Gibby. It is right. It is sad.
Sad, but it's happy. It's a good day.
But it is good.
It's the start of many, my friend.
Hoff never got 3?
I don't believe so.
I wanted to see guards in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, how many there are, and then the criteria for that. What would be – they just split it by offensive line. That's a shame. Gene Upshaw, Faneca, of course.
I think Joel needs to continue to play at the level that he is at. And what he needs is to get the proper recognition from the riders and get some first-team All-Pros in there.
Did you get Hutchison?
Steve Hutchison's great.
Yeah, he's in there. Russ Grimm.
That's what he needs, though. He needs some first,
Joe D.
First-team All-Pros on that resume.
That's what it is.
And he deserves them. He hasn't gotten them. He deserves them.
The thing that's going to be tricky is, Wyatt is certainly in line for that this year. At this point, he would be the first-team All-Pro guard.
Gene Hickerson.
Right. You're gonna have 2, so that's Larry Allen. So those are some of the guys over there. There's not a ton. There's not a ton, but there's several. But it's the first team All Pros that are the requirement. You got to make sure you get those.
Yep.
All right. Congratulations to Joel Bitonio. We will hear from him tomorrow on Cleveland Browns Daily.
Oh, there we go.
Well, they're on the practice field right now. Kind of tough.
Yeah.
But we will hear from him tomorrow. He will join Z. Next.
Higher or lower?
All right. Titans were 3, Rams 4, Packers 5, 6, Dallas, number 7, the Baltimore Ravens, 6-2. Zegura, higher, lower, or just right?
Well, because I was so confused all the time when we were talking about the Titans should have higher. Does that mean a higher number? I still am confused by it. What I would say about the Baltimore Ravens at number 7 is right now, coming off of that game that I saw, this is a team that just figures out a way to win, frankly. 3 different 14-plus point comebacks in the second half. That was the formula. If you would, in the past, that's over for them. Instead of being 6-2, this would be a 3-5 team in the past. They just didn't make those kind of comebacks, and now they do. I think I would take them over the Cowboys right now on a neutral field, and frankly, I would take them over the team they beat in the playoffs last year, the Tennessee Titans, on a neutral field. This is me talking right now. I think their offense is that good. It's healthy, and Lamar Jackson is as dangerous as any person in the NFL right now.
Yeah, they're getting a bump out of Rashard Bateman.
Yes,
that's
he's good.
He's really good. If you had to pick a Super Bowl favorite in the AFC today, I would land on them. Right now, they would be the pick. Right now, halfway point of the season. I don't know what's gone on in Buffalo the last couple. I don't know how they scored 6 points against Jacksonville. Baltimore doesn't have one like that. They don't have a 6-pointer.
No, but they almost lost.
I understand
to Detroit, but they didn't.
Almost doesn't matter.
I know.
They sort it out. Pittsburgh has this same gene in them. It makes me sick. They have it. You have to acknowledge it.
It's quite a lot.
There's nobody else. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone keeps going back to Kansas City and waiting for the rabbit to be pulled out of the hat there. Go look at Mahomes the last 5 games and how ineffective he's been.
It's wild.
I mean, his completion percentage in the 50s. It's crazy. So, you're waiting for somebody in the AFC, and by the way, it might as well be us. This thing is wide open. It is wide open. There is no great team.
No, that's why I think this playoff is going to be incredible.
Playoffs start now.
Yes.
For the
right
next
now.
9 weeks.
It's a tournament.
It's a playoff.
Yep.
It's
a tournament.
You've got, if you figure the Bills are in, the Titans are in, the Ravens are in. Let's say those. Are you guys comfortable saying those are locks, that they're making the postseason, those 3 teams?
No.
You're not. Which of those aren't locks to you? Ravens, Bills, Titans.
I'm still...
Like the Bills, you still have maybe some question. The AFC East is so bad.
They're still better than the Patriots.
I think
And
there's
they're
a
better
lot
than
of
the
football left. And if Lamar were to go down tomorrow...
Okay, but I mean, you could do that with anybody. I'm just saying,
I'm saying
if
if they're
everybody
healthy,
stays healthy,
yeah.
it's hard to imagine for me that those 3 teams don't make the AFC, which
Correct.
gets to the bigger point. You have 4 spots remaining for Pittsburgh, us, Indy, the Patriots, Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Bengals. 8 teams, 4 spots.
And the Colts don't look now.
Oh, I have them in there.
Yeah.
8 teams, 4 spots.
Yeah, and they're going to play. There's
And
going to be a lot of
everyone's-
cross-pollination in
Right.
there.
We all play. Everybody plays the Chiefs. All of our division has to play the Chiefs.
That's
The
right.
Bengals still have to play the Chiefs. Steelers, I think, play the Chiefs. We've already played them. I think the Ravens do too.
No, Ravens beat them.
Oh, Ravens beat them. So
on
the
a
other
late Clyde Edwards-Helaire
That's right.
fumble.
You're
That was
right.
when they were going through that streak of just improbable win after improbable win.
So Steelers and Ravens, or Steelers and Bengals, both still play them. So you're right. Cross-pollination's everywhere.
Yeah.
In this thing. So the playoffs are now. They're on. Go.
Next.
Higher or lower?
And we'll go right down one spot to number 8, Buffalo, 5-3 off of that 9-6 loss to Jacksonville. Higher, lower, or just right, Bishop?
Well, you got to look at. I mean, for crying out loud, they have the Saints 9.
Which is
That's
who's number
impossible.
10.
insane.
That can't be. I actually think the Patriots are better than the Saints. Honestly, the way they're playing right now. I can't make sense of the Saints beating the Bucks. That's the one that I can't come to grips with. Makes no sense to me. To me, they're the team that lost to the gutless Falcons last week. I think the Bills, I think this is the sweet spot for them right now, but I do think that they are a lock to make the playoffs. And if you look at the teams around them, I'm not sure who I would jump them with. There's nobody to me worthy of that.
Zegura?
I like where they are, and I still think they're a good team. I think that was an ugly loss. I still think they have an excellent defense, and I think that they're still a good offense. I mean, I think they're in the sweet spot, although after the egg the Cowboys laid, you want to see how they bounce back from that, but that was a horrific performance by them.
Those are the two worst performances of the week. I mean,
Yeah.
the Cowboys down 30-0, and the Bills scored 6 against Jacksonville. They didn't score 6 against some juggernaut. They scored 6 against Jacksonville. How in the heck does that happen? That can't happen.
It's outrageous.
No,
Next.
it's brutal.
Higher or lower?
So the Saints are 9. We've just touched on the Patriots at 10. We'll move on to number 11. The Squealers come in at number 11 at 5-3. Their tin man of a quarterback finding just enough oil in the bottom of the can, Mike Florio says.
He loves him some Steelers.
Might not be wrong on that.
By the way, this is why the Bills are a lock. They're at the Jets, Colts at home, at Saints, New England, Bucks. That's tricky. Then Carolina, at Patriots, Falcons, Jets.
I think that's the only
They're a
tough
lock to get in.
non-divisional game
Yeah.
that Tampa Bay has left.
It is the only one. Yeah, that's why the NFC blew it last week. They really blew it.
By the way, in this power rankings, number 10, Patriots, 11 Steelers, 12 Chargers, 13 Raiders, 14 Chiefs, 15 Browns, 16 Bengals, 17 Colts. That's the AFC playoff picture
The
in a
whole
row.
thing. It's all there.
In a row. It stretches from number 10 to number 17, and any of these teams could beat any of the other teams on any given day.
Yeah, and he's got the Saints too highly rated. The Saints could be at the bottom of that
Way.
list.
Way.
You put them at 18, 17.
Like, I feel like the Saints have zero chance of winning the Super Bowl.
None.
None. And I think you could make a case, you could talk yourself into at least a handful of the teams from 10 to 17 putting it together and winning the Super Bowl.
Steelers are 11. I don't know.
That game.
So angry.
That's the one you'll look
Oh,
back
my
on and
goodness.
be angry about.
So angry.
Yes.
So angry. They are so limited. They are so limited. But they have the following things. They have Cam Hayward. They have TJ Watt. They've got a couple of receivers who can make you pay. Najee Harris is a real deal. And Ben, to this point, while he's not winning them, he's not killing them to this point.
And they have
He's
Mike
not,
Tomlin.
Right. They have culture and stability. He's not throwing the pick six. He's completing a 40-yard slant. He's throwing it 6 yards.
And
Deontay's going for 50. And so
He's wide open
smart
in the
enough.
left,
It
yeah.
reminds you a little bit of the late Manning Broncos, where he's smart enough, or Breeze, smart enough to know his limitations. There's a ceiling to it all,
Oh, yeah.
a big-time ceiling that you're not breaking through. But also, they're not going to beat themselves. It's crazy they're 5-3.
Their last 3 wins have been an overtime win against the Geno Smith-led Seahawks. The game against us that we feel absolutely got away from us. We couldn't have gone worse. And then this one over the Justin Field-led Bears at home on Monday Night Football. At home.
Where they were up big.
14.
With a boost from the officiating.
Yes.
a huge boost,
A
yeah.
huge boost.
Real quick, so you saw Fields. You watched the game Monday, right?
I did.
Fields, Lawrence, the last 45 days. Think about how Fields has improved. You're not getting that out of Lawrence.
No, their offense is terrible in
It
Jacksonville.
is. Well, so is it in Chicago, right? But Fields has improved on. I'm not saying that he's going to necessarily be better than Lawrence, but he has improved in 45 days. And Lawrence.
Listen, they're already saying in New York, we're not rushing Zach Wilson back because Mike White's better,
right?
Apparently at this time. And then you've got, we just don't know what you have in Trey Lance. He's not ready to play, but he's a guy that I would imagine, much like Fields, if he was starting every single week, would be getting better. And the Niners are going to have to be getting close to that point where they say, okay, let's just get this kid reps, and let's get ready for 2022.
I would think, yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up with that one next.
Higher or lower?
49ers, 3-5. 23rd in this power poll. Mike Florio, the faithful are gradually losing their religion. Higher, lower, or just right, Beau?
Dad, what can you tell me about my Niners? I mean, when I was a kid, it was the greatest. It was Joe. It was Dwight. It was Jerry. And then it was Steve who gave us the final championship and got the monkey off our franchise's back,
Amen.
Dad.
Nate, I know we watched that Super Bowl together, but I don't like Steve Young. That's right. He does.
So who's higher, lower, just right? What do you got, Zegura? What do you got there, 49er guy?
I'll tell you this about them. They better be right on Trey Lance.
Yeah. Fields would have been such a natural for them.
Oh,
it feels like it.
I feel like he was everything that they would want. And I don't even think he was in the mix. I mean, just in reading everything around that decision is that they loved Mac Jones.
And they loved Trey Lance.
And then
more.
Lance blew him up with the abilities he had and the way he was on the board. And so that changed their mind, and they went that way. But it's a much more work in progress than Fields would have been, and certainly more than Mac Jones would have been.
Oh, yeah.
So you just better be right on that one. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think from 22 down, the Bears, if Fields looking good, could be frisky. I still think the Giants can be a little frisky from time to time. The Eagles have played well, but they don't know how to finish games either.
Yeah.
It's kind of the only teams that I think you can really say, okay, whatever, are Houston and the Lions at this point. Washington's not great either. The Dolphins are just lose.
Yeah, I think
even though they're decent.
Yeah, they're the bottom five, and Jacksonville's close to that area. Although I don't understand how they beat Buffalo. That's as shocking a result as there is, and they held them to 6. Makes no sense.
It doesn't.
It's nuts. It's one of the worst. I mean, that is a horrific loss.
Saints drilling the Packers week
but they
1.
weren't even 14-point dogs.
I understand. Saints drilling the Packers week 1.
Yep.
Cowboys down 30-0 at home to Denver, a few days after trading Von Miller, and 9-6 Jacksonville over Buffalo. Those are the ones that you just. What happened? How do you explain that?
Your bottom 9 teams.
The NFL.
3 out of the NFC East, 2 out of the NFC North, and I want to say 2 out of the AFC East.
Yeah. And for all of these teams in here that want quarterbacks, there isn't anybody like the 5 that were picked in this year's draft coming over the hill. There's none of those guys. And this is not a loaded draft. So for all of the talk of Philly's going to get it all right, they got all these ones, this ain't last year's draft. It's not.
No.
Dane Brugler just put out his board. I've talked to Mike Renner about this. A lot of the guys who do the breakdowns of the talent in this draft. Thibodeau's great at the top. There's a couple of guys here and there, but in terms of the depth of talent that we saw last year, and I think that's what's leading to the chaos in college football, is that there aren't those super teams that have all these draft picks. It's not there. It's just a bad year in recruiting. Who knows what happened? It is always very good when we get to talk to the great Bernie Kosar. He is going to join us next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. When it comes to mattresses, Northeast Factory Direct really outdid themselves. They searched the entire country, found the best factory with the best warranties, and now they have the latest technology in mattresses for a fraction of the cost. During Northeast Factory Direct Garage Sale, you can get a queen pillow top mattress starting at just $399, a double-sided pillow top for $699. And when you buy that queen prestige mattress for $699 or king prestige at $799, you're going to get a bundle of free stuff, a set of sheets, 2 pillows, a mattress protector. They've even got these comfort cool mattresses, premium hybrid mattresses. They're all natural, cold face cover and layers of airflow. Comfort foam. It's going to keep you comfortable throughout the night. Check them out, West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakewood Boulevard and Euclid or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. And with that, we are joined by the great Bernie Kosar on the hotline. Boy, pal, it's better talking after a win, isn't it? And that was a pretty emphatic one, going down to Cincinnati and winning the Battle of Ohio the way that it did. Our defense was great. Our offense with Nick Chubb was sublime. Our quarterback was decisive and sure of himself. It was exactly what the doctor ordered. What did you see, and could you sense how important it was to our guys as you were watching the game?
I love the use of the word sublime there. What a difference an awesome week makes, and to be sitting here today at 5-4, phenomenal feeling.
Bernie, how important in a game like that where we had so much going on was that Denzel Ward pick six, just for everybody on the sideline to know that, okay, here we go, Star makes a play, it's 7-0 Browns. Does that have a palpable effect of just letting everybody exhale a little bit and feel good about the task at hand?
Oh, I love you, Nathan. It's great to be with you.
I love you, Bernie.
The quarterback perspective in me wants to focus on how offensively we dominated the game. We took it to them. We set the tempo. But, Coach Nathan, absolutely, brother, you are so spot on. What a difference from a psychological standpoint. Denzel Ward makes that play for us to go up 7-0 as opposed to going down 7-0, to stop them on that first drive like that. You could almost see the air being sucked out of the balloon in Cincinnati of the Bengals fans as that happened. And that just laid the groundwork, laid the foundation for the beatdown that happened in the Battle of Ohio.
It certainly did, and I want to ask you, though, the flip side of a pick six like that means that after they had gone, they being the Bengals, they go for 6 minutes prior to that interception. Then they get the ball right back. They go 9 plays, 70 yards. They end up with the possession at the end was 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first quarter. That was the first time that Baker Mayfield would step foot on the field. And when you think about how big this game was, all that went on, I know how much he wanted. You could see his focus and his energy. How impressive was it to you that on their very first drive, the Browns, who had waited so long to get on the field, go 9 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown with Baker locked in right out of the gate? How hard is it to stand around and wait that long to get the football and then go execute the way that the Browns offense did? Wow,
Nathan, you are spot on for exactly where my mindset and where my head was. You know, as a guy who's so proud to have played over 12 years in the NFL and to have been in what I thought was every conceivable situation there is, even myself, to see how Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals had control of the ball in the first half. And again, to Nathan, to your astute points, that basically our offense and Baker Mayfield didn't get on the field till basically 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. It was almost 1:45 in the afternoon on Sunday. As a QB, as a player, you're chomping at the bit to get out there at 1 o'clock at kickoff time to be making plays. After the week we had last week, after the week Bake had, just that in itself is almost challenging to almost impossible for mere mortals to get over just on itself. And now you add the dilemma, the issue of really standing around for 45 minutes to an hour, watching the other offense, not getting in your rhythm, and then to come out there and dominate. It's besides we won the game, that part of it is foundationally why I believe there's so much brimming confidence from our fans and myself That was the 7th game this year with the Cleveland Browns. We've rushed for over 150 yards rushing. And yet we didn't get the ball till 4 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yep.
In a pass-happy league, this is the 7th game we've rushed for over 150 yards, the most in the NFL this year. That's physical presence, that ability for our offense, our offensive line, and we see that organizationally how much the organization concurs and believes in the awesomeness of Coach Callahan and our offensive linemen by the signing of Wyatt Teller and the extension of Joel Bitonio. The way they physically dominated, the way they physically took it to Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati could have had so much of that early momentum, that put them in place, that showed from a physical standpoint how ready the whole team was.
Bernie, this isn't meant by me as a shot at anybody, but I do think that we can come to a pretty straight conclusion now that this passing attack is better without Odell Beckham Jr. being a part of it. And we have a pretty good data to look at that there's been a lot of games with him, a lot of games without him. Baker's more effective without him than he was with him, which is good for us because we're without him from this point going forward as he tries to find a new team. But I think it manifested on Sunday. The throw that he ripped to David Njoku for the touchdown, it's before Chief even has a hint of making the outside move on the post. Bernie, I mean, it's complete trust in what he sees. It was see it, rip it, football, it himself, in where people were going to be. It's not. I can't explain it, but I don't have the quarterback mind you do. Can you?
Yeah, it's a gorgeous point, Beau, for the throw, the sense of timing, not only the perfection of the accuracy, ball placement of the seam / post to Chief for the touchdown on third down and goal in the red zone, or the gorgeous 60-yard pass to Donovan Peoples-Jones, hitting a post route, play action pass, hitting him in stride like that. That confidence that you could see by Bake having that, it's beautiful to see. And sometimes when you're just reacting, and just to your point, when you're just seeing it, playing loose, letting it rip, and feeling confident in yourself, those are the results you get. And actually, for the listeners out there and for us, we talked about it a little bit last week and a little bit in the pregame show. We love our home field advantage. There's no doubt that playing in First Energy Stadium, playing in Cleveland, Ohio with the dog pound is awesome. But boy, when you have a week like you had last week, there's really something to be said for going on the road.
Yep.
And, you get on the team, you get on that team bus. It's just you, the 53 players, basically the 20 coaches. It's less than 75 people that are locked in this. It's almost this us against the world mentality. And you bond for that 24 hours. It's really just, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're sleeping together. You're in the bus together. You're in the plane together. You're getting meetings together. I really liked that aspect of it last week because I really think our team, we're still a young team, and I really think we needed that to kind of come together post that Saturday morning walkthrough when Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, there was so much talk, so much chatter going out there, so much uncertainty of where your focus is, where your commitments are, where your loyalties are. And when you get on that bus as a team, and you get on that plane as a team, and then you walk into that hotel in a hostile city as a team, you really do become a family. And I really think we hit the apex almost of a family and a real team as we bonded over this past weekend in terms of just traveling together. And I think that was incredibly healthy and incredibly positive, almost like last year for the future of this team and absolutely for the future of this football season.
I want to ask you about that kind of us against the world mentality and what it is like in a locker room when Everybody's talking about us for a variety of reasons. We're coming off of a game that, frankly, we all think we should have won against the Steelers. You've got the outside drama. You've got your coach saying, we are a desperate football team. Joel Bitonio saying, our season is on the brink. And you know that your backs are against the wall and you turn in your best performance of the season. What are the ramifications of that in the locker room? Does that give major confidence that, okay, when we needed to be our best, we were? How do we do that week after week after week?
Hey, that's great stuff right there, Nathan. So I'm going to I'll answer that, I think, eventually, but if I could just add to the beginning part of it.
Sure.
You heard Joel Bitonio say, this is a big week. This is the main point. The season it hangs in the balance. Those type of statements by players, and to a lesser extent, sometimes by coaches, that's not abnormal. You actually see teams, coaches, players saying that on too much of a basis through the course of the year, through the course of seasons. But what I notice when I see that, though, is that when the players and coaches make those type of statements before the game, it's really telling to show you when the game does happen, what type of team, what type of organization you have. Because a majority of the time, when players say those type statements, the season's in the balance, this is a must-win game that we're going to either expand from here or fall apart from here. Typically, when those type of statements are being made in season, it's a failure and it does not transpire. When it does work, though, it really shows that the players, the coaches, the organization, that whole facility in Berea, that they are really on the same page with each other, that they do care about each other, and that they want to make a difference, and that they're not going to let that stuff affect them.
Bernie, what are the most challenging things that Bill Belichick tries to do to quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's been a big topic of conversation. It's been well documented. It's factual what he does to young quarterbacks in terms of confusion, misalignments, making them make mistakes, possibly see ghosts, as some QBs have said in the past.
Yeah.
But one of the main things and why I'm very high on what our Browns' chances, and I know I'm typically positive going into all of our games, but the way we are running the ball, and we talked earlier in the segment about the seventh game this year, rushing over 150 yards. The thing that's with a Bill Belichick coach, team, and defense, it's well documented how astute they are, how attentive they are. And you heard Mike Tomlin before the Steelers game talk about how the Browns offense has that coordinated play action with that misdirection passing game. And teams now, want to look out for the misdirection, the coordinated play action, kind of the bootlegs, the nakeds, the rollouts. Bill Belichick type teams, they're so astute. They're so well-versed at staying within their lanes, understanding their disciplines, understanding their details of the assignment. All that being said, that's awesome from a mental standpoint. Teams like that, I really believe when you start thinking and you start wanting to pay attention to all those type things, that's when just good fundamental football really comes into play. And the straight, just physical ability to run straight at teams that we're showing, again, with J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, and Joel Bitonio, two of the three guys just got signed or extended over the last 36 hours.
Yep.
That ability to mash teams up front, when you have a team that's defense that's reading, reacting, and kind of watching and making sure that they don't get beat on the bootleg, that they don't lose outside contain on edge rushing, that's absolutely sound fundamental football. And those type teams, you typically don't trick a lot. And we've we with Coach Stefanski and his system, we're awesome at the coordinated play action game. We're very awesome at the misdirection passing game. We've had some really cool trick type plays. But when the push comes to shove, why the Cleveland Browns are a solid, consistent team and nobody is going to want to play us in January, we could do all of that stuff. Plus, we're as physical and tough as any team in the league, and absolutely, our offensive front. Nobody wants to go game in and game out trying to stop our running game, and I believe that's when you start with that foundation against Coach Belichick. That puts them on literally on the defensive.
Bernie, you're the best, buddy. We love you, pal. Thanks for the time today.
Awesome. You matter. Go Browns 6-4 next week.
Let's go.
The great Bernie Kosar. I never tire of him on a four-wheeler.
No, how could you?
I never tire of it. Always good to see. We will meet the Patriots coming up next. Charles Davis in about 10 minutes from now. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. EOX Vantage has that local presence and the global footprint entrusted by some of the world's biggest brands. Here's a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Ed Shield. Ed is the vice president of Skyward Specialty Insurance. He says, quote, "The tools we've designed with EOX Vantage are real business changers that open the door for us to all sorts of valuable opportunities and efficiencies. They help our team members stay on the same page while collaborating remotely, make it easy to communicate with customers, cut way down on manual data entry and the associated input errors and cutoff processes and response times. Operationally, it's a brand new ball game for us, and it can be for you too. I encourage you to learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. And now let's meet the Patriots. Dr. Z.
All right, the Patriots come in at 5-4 on the season. They have won 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5 under head coach Bill Belichick. Here's a weird one for you, though. 4-0 on the road this year, but 1-4 at home. Offense, of course, led by Mac Jones in a strong ground game that's produced 11 rushing touchdowns already this season, but we don't know about the availability of Damian Harris or Stevenson at this time. The Patriots they've been their standard stingy selves defensively. The pass rush led by Matt Judon. He's got 9 sacks, but they have an elite ball-hawking secondary anchored by corners J.C. Jackson and Jonathan Jones and a trio of excellent safeties, Adrian Phillips, Kyle Duggar, and Devin McCourty. Overall, though, here's the numbers that jump out at me. The Patriots ranked 10th in scoring offense, 25.6 a game, 4th in scoring defense, 18.9 a game. So this is going to be a very, very tough test. I came across 2 stats that blew my mind in getting ready for this game. Number 1, the Patriots are 103-3 all-time at Gillette Stadium in the regular season when leading at halftime.
Jeez.
Okay? Here's where it gets
Pretty good
even
sample
crazier.
size.
However,
Yeah.
it must be noted that 2 of those 3 losses came this season. Week 4 against Tom Brady, who else? And the Bucks, and Week 6 against the Dallas Cowboys. So that means they'd only lost once when leading at the half, which when you see a stat like this, you say, goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious, indeed.
You do. And that's where it's just a mind-boggling stat. So that's who this team is. They're very good. And I mentioned J.C. Jackson, the ball-hawking secondary. J.C. Jackson, 5 interceptions this year. That's second in the league. 12 passes defense. That's number 1 in the league. 49.8 quarterback rating against when targeted. That is second best in the league. And, in fact, the Patriots' defense as a whole, number 1 in the NFL in interceptions, number 1 with a 76.6 quarterback rating allowed against. And they've won 3 in a row, as I mentioned. They have multiple interceptions in 3 straight games.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they no longer have Stephon Gilmore on that team, and it's the scheme. They put him in the right spot. They've got really good players. I'll tell you this for Mac Jones. I see on the prep here, 68% completion percentage, 9th in the league, 22nd in pass rating. He is very Tom Brady-ish in this way, especially Brady early in his career. He will take the layups.
Yep.
He will not force the ball down the field. He is more than content to throw it 3 yards and on to the next play. He keeps them on schedule. The other thing that he does is he takes hits. He holds on to the ball. He gets bludgeoned. We have an opportunity to really put the hurt on him, and that is a big part of this game, and that is where I think could be a big advantage for us because he will take hits. He gets hit every game. He stands in there. He stands tall, and he just keeps getting up, but he takes hit after hit after hit.
And he will put the ball on the ground. The Browns, I think, have to hope that they can get some of those. We haven't had that sack strip fumble yet this year. Maybe this would be a game to do it. But here's something that's interesting about Mac Jones is that, we've seen the trend in the NFL. Quarterbacks, we know, good from a clean pocket, and he is 72% completion. That's happening 70% of the time. Under pressure, down to 56% completion, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. But some of the good quarterbacks and the more veterans that you face, you can't blitz them. That's not the case with Mac Jones, and he's been blitzed 35% of the time. Against the blitz, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, quarterback rating of just 76, yards per attempt only 6.7. So that's where, as a rookie, maybe you can disrupt him a little bit, and I think that's where the Browns are going to have to do that. He's thrown the ball down the field just 11 of 33, 10 yards per attempt, so he has not been an elite vertical passer, much to your point. And in fact, 64% of all of his pass attempts, so 2 out of every 3, happen within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yep, that's it. Do you love the Browns? Gain exclusive team access with the NFL Extra Points credit card for special ticket financing, 20% off at NFLshop.com, and rewards like player meet and greets and signed memorabilia. Apply today at NFLextrapoints.com and get started with 10,000 bonus points after qualifying purchases, enough to redeem a $100 statement credit. To learn more, visit NFLextrapoints.com. Offer subject to credit approval. See application terms and conditions for complete details. Our good buddy Charles Davis of CBS Sports joins us coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau here for my friends at Raising Cane's. What do you get when you combine the best ingredients with the best crew? You get Raising Cane's quality chicken finger meals made just for you. Join the crew, ready to safely serve the community. Apply today at workatcanes.com or text RC Jobs to 97211. Standard message rates may apply. Raising Cane's is one love. Also, Rumpke Waste and Recycling, family-owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll be part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Did you have your hand up?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe you did. I did. We got this in the middle of the show, the extension for Joel Bitonio, and so he's locked up. Wyatt Teller is locked up. The interior of that offensive line locked up for a very long time. And I think it tells you very much about the way Andrew Berry does business and also the importance that is put on that line going forward.
There's no question. And you think about Jack Conklin under contract through next year, J.C. Treader under contract through next year, Jed Will still on his rookie deal. So this line very much intact for the foreseeable future, and that's a wonderful thing for the Cleveland Browns. And I'll tell you, Blake Hance seems to have played his way into your utility guy to replace Chris Hubbard, whose season was unfortunately cut short due to injury and could be for the foreseeable future as well for Blake Hance. So you love that. I mean, if you're thinking about it out loud, you still say, okay, so Denzel's still out there, Baker's still out there, the Chief is still out there, and then the Browns probably still have a few more moves to make.
I got Charles on the line.
In terms of those extensions. But it's just great to see Andrew Bear being proactive, players wanting to be here and getting these things done.
Yeah, it sure is. And it is great when we get a chance to talk to our great friend Charles Davis, CBS Sports color analyst. Of course, he will be on the call on Sunday with Iron Eagle. It doesn't get better than those two guys. My kids are excited because Charles, of course, is on Madden. And so anytime I get a chance to talk to the guy whose voice is on Madden, that is a very, very big deal. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. I hope you guys are the same. And as I don't know if I've told you before, I'm going to give you a pro-veteran parent tip on Madden. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
There's a mute button on the game.
No.
So when you get sick and tired of hearing me yakking at you, make sure you carefully hit that mute button, and then you can rock and roll from there. Either that or give the kids some headphones, and then you're good to go.
No. We don't want to mute you.
No,
and by the way,
they love you.
One of our listeners,
Brandon Godden does a good job too. We love you. We love those guys.
Brandon is terrific, isn't he? And it's been a pleasure to be his partner and to be his sidekick. You know, we're on our 7th year now.
Yeah.
Which is just stunning. We actually talked about it the other day. Like, can you believe it's been 7 years? And it's just, you know, we consider ourselves fortunate every time we get a chance to work on that game, and we know what it means. And I will tell you that recently, I won't name who, what, where, but recently, 2 different players wanted to talk to me about Madden. One, their rating, and I don't do the rating.
Right.
Okay. One, the rating, and the second one was, what was the second one? I forgot what it was. Something else about the game. So I have to make sure I communicate that back to the people who know what they're doing and how they're doing it. But when I tell them, like I said, guys, I only just voice it. Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't know who does.
I'm surprised they haven't hit you up for some, favorable commentary, because you make some observations about players. We did have one of our listeners, Kevin Costa, who I'm going to answer this for him, but he said, I went up 93-7 on the Steelers last night with 3 minutes to go in the fourth, and Charles said, quote, "It's almost a runaway." I think that's just your optimism. That's just your zest for life that, hey, we don't want to put anybody down. It's almost a runaway, but maybe there's a chance.
Maybe. So you're saying there's a chance, I talked to a high school team last year, and everything. I've had an okay career. Right? I've done a few things. I've been fortunate, and immediately they just send it right in on Madden. Right out of the gate, the kid's like, "Hey, why are you always yelling at me when I go for it on 4th down or whatever? Why are you always yelling at me with my play selection?" I was like, "Well, one, I don't consider it yelling, and
That's
2,
right.
when you ran that double reverse on 4th and 48 from your own 6." I don't know that that's a good call, but that's just me. Maybe, maybe you felt good about it. I don't know, but that is kind of what comes out of the whole thing. I want to go for it. Why are you telling me I can't? I'm not telling you can't. I'm just telling you I don't know if that's a good idea. That's all.
It's beautiful,
Free will.
man.
Do your thing.
It's absolutely beautiful. Hey, man, this game Sunday's beautiful. This is a good one. 5-4, 5-4. Both teams coming off of wins and feeling like they're in a pretty good place. This AFC playoff picture is muddled, Charles. There's a lot of teams in the mix for this thing. It feels like every game from here on out is a playoff game. Early out in the week as you're starting to do your work on it, what do you see with these two teams?
Well, I see, number one, let's just start with Cleveland, because as much as we're ready to turn the page and keep moving, the Odell Beckham Jr. saga continues to kind of loom, right? Not over the team anymore, though. I think that they've been able to take it and cast it aside. But what I've loved about watching it is normally when you have this type of a divorce or a separation from a team, boy, the acrimony is huge, right? That's not the case here. You don't hear vitriol, right? You don't hear a team saying, boy, we're glad that guy is gone. You hear a team saying, God, I wish we could have made it work. We like this guy.
Yep.
He's not saying a whole lot, but I think that speaks volumes too. I don't hear him saying, God, I couldn't wait to just flat out leave my teammates. He just needed a different situation. So I think that's a little bit different than what you normally get when something like this doesn't work. By all accounts, everyone tried. I know people want to, in our business, Mayfield, he's got to do a better job. He tried. Go back and look at the numbers and how many times he targeted Odell Beckham when he was on the field. Yep. He gave him he tried to get the ball to him. It wasn't like he just ignored him by any. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, when he played, he's the most targeted guy.
That's right.
So they tried. Odell Beckham tried. It didn't work. Hopefully it'll work somewhere better for him. I will just tell you privately, not even privately because it's public now, right? I would just tell you, if he goes to Green Bay, don't think I won't be grabbing the popcorn and pulling up a front row seat. Because he and Aaron Rodgers, I'd love to see how that works, especially as salty as Aaron is right now. I can't. Yeah, that could very well be the move that gets them to a Super Bowl because they have a wide receiver one already in Devontae Adams. He can be the companion piece if he's willing to be that guy. Or if he goes to New Orleans, what happens next? Because if he goes to New Orleans, I wouldn't be surprised if Taysom Hill becomes a full-time starter because of the big arm. And you got to take advantage of that. If he goes to Kansas City, can he help Patrick Mahomes get going again? It's all of those things. I know we listed those three because those seem to be the heaviest rumors out there. Who knows? He might end up in Saskatchewan. We don't know.
Look good in that Rough Riders kit, Charles.
It out like that, and all those are intriguing to me. But what's most intriguing is the fact that I think the Browns really tried. I feel like Odell Beckham really tried, and I have no answer about why it didn't work. That kind of talent should work anywhere. So all I can tell you is I'm not an alchemist, and I can't figure it out.
But it has happened, and the Browns were able to overcome down in Cincinnati, turning in their best performance of the season, Charles. And, you look at this AFC playoff picture, and it almost feels like there's kind of a tournament of, 8 teams for 4 or 5 spots that happens. It's going to happen a lot. There's going to be a lot of these matchups, all in the AFC North. This one, obviously, for the Browns and the Patriots. What do you make of this AFC, and how big of a game is this one between the Browns and the Patriots?
Oh, I think it's massive. The records, all that. This is not college football where you throw the record books out, right? You're playing for pride. No, you're playing to try and get to the playoffs. And in the AFC North, Baltimore setting the pace, but does anyone feel like you can't compete with them? I don't think that's the case. Pittsburgh, people wanted to leave them for dead, and I'm like, when are we going to learn you don't ever leave Mike Tomlin's team for dead? Ever. And here they are, right? Cincinnati has come back to earth after we have now anointed them the new darlings. Doesn't mean they're still not a good football team. This North is a beast now. Used to be 3, and you penciled in your 2 versus Cincinnati, right? Can't do that now. Flip it over to the East. Last year, Buffalo's mission, should they choose to accept it, and they did, was to eliminate the specter of New England when they were vulnerable, and they did. See, prior to last year, guys, Brandon Beane as the GM, Sean McDermott as the head coach, they were 0-6 against New England. They won the 2 last year, won the AFC East going away. We thought that Buffalo, preseason Buffalo, strong contender to go to the Super Bowl, right? We didn't say that about New England. We thought maybe not. New England, maybe playoffs, maybe. Especially when Cam was supposed to be the starter. Then it was an even bigger struggle, right? No, now we're going to with a rookie. Now you throw that in there. Well, guess what, guys? They're breathing down the necks of Buffalo with the same number of wins, 5-3 versus 5-4, which is New England. All of a sudden, the specter of New England is back in play for Buffalo. And by the way, since that great win in Kansas City for Buffalo. Remember that on a Sunday night?
I sure do.
They're 1-2 since then. Okay? Not a great game and won against Miami. Lost a heck of a game against Tennessee when they went for it on the fourth down. And then I don't think we'll ever be able to explain Jacksonville.
Jacksonville 9-6.
No, there's nothing for that, Charles. And I think that Nathan and I were talking about this earlier in the week as we're, roughly the halfway point for most teams. The halfway point are just past. It's odd with the odd game schedule now. But I don't know that there's a great team in this league. I don't. I mean, I don't know at a halfway point. I think there's a lot of good teams. There's some really good teams.
A lot of good.
But I don't know that there's a great one. I don't know if it's been this wide open in a really long time, and I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really interesting. Where do you stand on that?
You know who else is all for it? Pete Rozelle. Wherever he's resting in heaven right now, where he's chilling, having a nice little gathering with all the NFL people. Remember, his word was the P word. It was parity.
Yep.
If it was up to Pete Rozelle, everyone would be 8-8, fighting it out. He could not be happier. The only thing he's happier about is that they quit using up with people at halftime. That's the only thing he was happier about. But this is a league, as you said. Is there a great team? We don't know. They could still emerge. Remember, we didn't think Tampa was a great team last year, but down the stretch they sure played great, didn't they?
Yep.
They emerged. They became that team. Who's it going to be this year? Will it be multiple teams? Every time you think you got a handle on it, something kicks in, right? I don't know that anyone – let's go to the NFC. I don't know if anyone truly flat out just said, hey, Arizona, man, I'm all in. And then when Green Bay beat them, did anyone really – were you really shocked? No. But how about the way they bounced back without their quarterback? See, to me, Steve Keim made a lot of moves in the offseason that I was saying, that feels like you're making moves for a team that's trying to get over the hump as opposed to a team trying to get there. Signing J.J. Watt and James Conner and those guys. Well, the underrated one was signing Colt McCoy. Because last year, when Murray got hurt down the stretch and they were still in playoff contention, do you remember who the backup quarterback was?
No,
exactly. It was Chris Streveler, who came from the Canadian Football League.
Well,
we could have been here all day.
Could have had a million guesses,
Charles. Down the stretch. And by the way, speaking of Canadian Football League, I hope you lit a candle for Angelo King Kong Mosca, who just took a knee the other day. All-time great Canadian Football League Hall of Famer. Not to mention played at Notre Dame. Not to mention was a Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer. And one of the greatest pieces of video was he and Joe Cap supposedly burying the hatchet and Joe Cap hitting him with a left and a right at a gathering at the Canadian Football League Grey Cup. You've got to see the video. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I grew up on the Canadian Football League. So, yeah, it's Calgary Stampeders. Beautiful. Charles, before we let you go, and we look forward to hearing you on the call, the last time that we saw you in person, you were wearing an Axe cap hat in homage of Billions. Where do you sit with the choices that have been made on that show and that Axe will be no more?
I'm a little weepy, to be frank about the whole thing.
I thought you might be.
I'm a little weepy. That one hurt, okay? I'd heard the rumors. You heard them too.
Yep.
I shrugged them off, but I believe this was in play from the beginning. Like, actors like Damian Lewis, they go into these projects, and they're not forever projects.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best of me for a certain amount of time. I see my arc, and that's it. And I would bet my last nickel that he and Brian Koppelman, the showrunner, had that agreement from the beginning, but they were smart enough not to tell us because that allowed us to get invested in Axe. And I was Team Axe.
Me too.
Okay, I was not Team Taylor. I was not Team Chuck. I was not Team anyone. I'm Team Axe. That hurts, okay? How they're going to do it, who the new Axe is, how they're going to play this out, I don't know that I'll be there to see it.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, that's a tough one for me because, I was all in. Now, my man Dollar Bill, he could bring me back in a hurry. Dollar Bill is just the bomb.
Right.
And I do want he and Mafi to have a rematch in the boxing because I want them to get a little more road work in ahead of time. Because remember that fight when they were leaning on each other and they couldn't even lift their arms to swing?
I do.
That one hurt too. And do you remember what Axe promised him if he won? What did he tell Dollar Bill if he won that fight? What was he going to do for him?
I can't even remember.
I will get you a house for each wife.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's a great line.
Because how great was it that Dollar Bill was running two families, and one of the most underrated lines in the history of billions was someone said to Dollar Bill, but two families, like, don't both kids play baseball or what have you? He said, yeah, I got one in fall league, I got one in spring league. What?
It's pretty good.
Like it was no big deal to him.
I know
he figured it out.
No. I'm going to miss – I'm with you.
I could be back for Dollar Bill, but Axe going off, and here's the other part, guys. Whether that was part of the arc or not, in his private life,
right.
Axe lost his wife, who was one of the stars of Peaky Blinders,
which is great.
Which is another terrific show. And she passed away, and so maybe Axe wants a little more time for himself. Damian Lewis, let me give him his due because he's a tremendous actor. And how jarring is it every time when you watch the post shows and he would speak with his regular British accent? And you're sitting there going, who the hell is that? Oh, that's Axe.
That's Axe. That's right. Always good talking to you, buddy. Look forward to the call on Sunday. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Can't wait to get to New England and see this game, and we're still hoping we're going to get to Cleveland before it's all said and done.
Yes, always welcome here. Always good talking to you. The great Charles Davis, of course, of CBS Sports, joining us on the hotline. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Did you venture into any of the college basketball last night? Tipped off in earnest across the various platforms?
I did not.
I
did not.
Did you watch your beloved Duke Blue Devils in the final year?
The farewell tour has begun. I love him. He's a great man.
Yeah.
I love the program.
Sure.
Might be overdoing it on the farewell tour thing.
It's a long tour.
It's a real long tour, kids. People are going to be if people already don't hate that program, they're really going to hate it. Maybe as soon as Thanksgiving.
They might. Ohio State played Akron in the opener last night. Won it on the last second shot. I think it's going to be an interesting team, especially here locally. Two young players, Michi Johnson, of course, he was in the program last year when he was supposed to be a senior in high school, and so got his first start last night. And certainly had some moments, but is going to have to be a big factor for them. And then Malachi Branham out of St. Vincent St. Mary, the true freshman, Mr. Ohio, he was clutch the last 10 minutes. He's smooth, like 6'5", 6'6", long-armed, really smooth, good off the bounce. And they ran a play where they get it at 3 seconds. He gets it at the key and just makes the correct read down to the post. Ed Key gets the shot at the buzzer to beat Akron. Akron was impressive, too.
John Gross.
Yeah. Ohio and Ohio State, Illinois, and now at Akron with a nice program. But the two Northeast Ohio kids, I think, are going to have big roles this year.
Nice. Yeah. Let's go.
CFP, good. Buckeyes. Huh?
It's the most transparent the committee has ever been.
Well, that's good.
And the reason and here's the transparency. They don't care what you think. They don't have to justify anything. They're making a television show. The rules don't apply to everybody equally.
They want the best.
They want the best brands to make a TV show. And in that sense, at least, they're honest. Yes. Now, that's duplicitous, but in that sense, they're honest. Tomorrow going to be fun. We're back. Next level coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.